In this video, I want to talk a little bit about AsULearn Questionnaire. Questionnaire is a great way to gather information from students. Some people prefer to use Google Forms, but Questionnaire is built into AsULearn so you can duplicate it, modify it, and recycle it again, all within your site. Within Questionnaire, the teacher builds the questions. There are various question types. You can choose to make things anonymous. It's important to remember if you choose anonymous, then the responses are also anonymous to the teacher as well. You can also use Questionnaire to gather data from students and decide no one but the teacher ever sees the results, or you can share it back with the class. Questionnaires can also be graded, but it's not like a quiz. It's more of a participation. If you make a questionnaire graded, then when students submit it, after they've completed the questionnaire, they would get the points assigned. So it's more of a 0, you didn't do it, or you get all the points. Let's get started. In this course, I've already created a questionnaire, so as the teacher, I'm just clicking on this, and I have the choice to answer the questions or view all responses. The answer the questions is really a preview type thing. So this first question that I listed is a checkbox. So here I've asked a question, and then students would check all the boxes that apply. This next one is a radio button. You can see the difference between the options. Check boxes uses squares, radio buttons use circles. And here they can only pick one option. So they would pick their choice and move on. You can use essay questions within Questionnaire, and they would get the HTML editor, and you would decide how big this box is going to be to indicate what length of response you're looking for. This is a rating question, so I've asked them about student presentations and rating engagement. So it lists the students' names, and then they would rate each student just by checking these boxes. When they're all done, they would hit submit. As a teacher, if you want to add a new questionnaire to your course, from the main course page, you would just click Turn Editing On, Add an Activity or Resource. Within the All tab, you would just look for Questionnaire, and then you're on the Settings page. In this example, I've given the questionnaire a name. I've provided a description. Under Availability, this determines the window for when students can take the questionnaire, so you can apply a deadline. Under Response Options, you can decide what type. They respond one time or many. You decide. Under Respondent Type, you would choose full name or anonymous. I'm going to leave mine at full name. Remember, if you pick anonymous, it's anonymous to the teacher as well. And then here, students can view all responses. I've made this never, but you can say students can see responses after answering the questionnaire. Under Submission Grade, this is where if you wanted to connect the questionnaire to the gradebook, you could make it a graded item. By default, it's no grade. If I make this, say, 100 points, as students answer it, the 100 points would be written to the gradebook. When you're all done, just click Save and Display. After hitting Save and Display, you have the ability to add questions. In this top part, you would just hit this arrow button and you would select the type of question that you want to add and hit the button Add Selected Question Type. In the example I showed you earlier, the first one was a checkbox type question. With checkboxes, you're going to give the question a name. You're going to decide whether or not the question is required in order to submit, yes or no. And then here is the question text. This is what the student sees. And then down here in possible answers, you would just type the options, hit return, and create that list that students would choose from. That was a checkbox. This is a radio button. They are very similar, except with radio buttons, students can only pick one response. So it's going to have the name, whether it's required, question text is the text student sees, and then possible answers are listed below. It's also possible to add an essay question. So you're going to give the question a name, decide whether or not it's required. Now with an essay question, there's also this box, input box size. By default, it shows 20. If you want a shorter answer, you might decrease that down to 5. If you want a long answer, you might increase it to 40. then hit Save Changes. Another option that I showed you earlier was the rating scale. So here I determined the number of scaled items, and I chose 5. Here the question text, I asked them the question, but then I also defined those numbers. If I'm asking you to rate, you need to know, is a 1 a high score or a low score? Under possible answers, I listed the names of the students they would be rating. Then just hit Save Changes. Once you've started to add questions within this tab, you'll be able to preview it. And if you've had the questionnaire open, you can also see this tab, View All Responses. Within View All Responses, there is a choice of Summary or List of Responses. Summary would be the broad overview of the entire class, or if you click List of Responses, you can pick particular students and look at their answers to the questions. On the Summary tab, there is an option to download all the responses if you want to. On this window, there's also a tab that says Non-Respondents. As the teacher, if you click the non-respondents, you can see which students haven't yet responded to your questionnaire. I hope this helps.